Stepsister threw me a birthday party filled with everything I hate, invited only her friends, and worst of all, made me seem ungrateful. Hey there, welcome to Story Nest. Quick reminder to subscribe before we dive in. It helps a ton and supports the channel so we can bring you more stories. I've always had a complicated relationship with my family. My parents separated when I was 6, and while we had joint custody, both of them eventually moved on to new relationships. When I was 9, my mom married a man named Jason, who already had a daughter, Mia, who was 2 years older than me. From day one, it was clear that Mia was the golden child in that family. My dad, on the other hand, got engaged to a wonderful woman named Rebecca when I was 8, and they married when I was 12. Rebecca became the mother figure I had always longed for, and I'll always be thankful for how much she stepped up. To me, Rebecca has been a much better mother than my biological mom ever was. She's always there for me, giving advice, comforting me when I'm feeling down, and finding activities that we can both enjoy together. We have so much in common, and I feel like she's been the one truly raising me alongside my dad. Recently, Rebecca and I even talked about the possibility of her adopting me once I turn 18, and I'm totally on board with that. To me, she already feels like my real mom, and I would love to make that official. My relationship with my biological mom, however, has always been strained. She's never really put any effort into connecting with me. It always felt like she had her sights set on Mia. Whenever I visited her, I was made to feel invisible. Mia was always the one who got to do everything with her, and when she would try to include me, it was always on Mia's terms. At first, I tried to be understanding, but as time went on, it became clear to me that I was never going to be a priority in her life. And that hurt. As I grew older, I started to decline her invitations to hang out, opting to stay home with my dad instead. I just didn't want to be around someone who made me feel so unimportant. My dad understood, but he also explained that he couldn't just let me skip visits without facing potential legal issues. I didn't want to make things harder for him, so I stopped asking to stay home and simply followed the court-ordered visitation schedule, even if it meant being uncomfortable at my mom's place. But here's where things got interesting. In 2 weeks, I turn 18, which means the court-mandated visits will no longer be required. My birthday just so happens to fall on the days I spend with my dad, and we've been planning a simple celebration for a while now. Nothing extravagant, just a low-key dinner at my favorite pizza place with a few close friends and family. There's karaoke there, which I absolutely love, and I can't wait to just relax and enjoy the night with people who genuinely care about me. After finalizing everything, we sent out invitations, and I even sent one to my mom, despite my reluctance to invite her. I figured this could be the last time I'd have to deal with the awkwardness of having my mom around, so I made the effort to include her. If she didn't want to come, fine. At least I could say I tried. With almost everyone confirming their attendance, everything was looking great, except for one person, my mom, who hadn't responded yet. I was just about ready to move on and accept that she wasn't interested. And then the drama started. My mom called me this afternoon, absolutely furious. She accused me of being childish for not consulting her before making plans for my birthday. To be honest, I was stunned because my mom had never been involved in the planning before. Most of the time, she didn't even remember my birthdays or make any effort to acknowledge them. So to hear her complain now felt hypocritical. When I pointed this out, she just got angrier and began attacking me, claiming that Mia had been crying ever since I sent out the invitations. I was completely thrown off. Mia? Crying? Why on earth would she be upset? Mia and I had never been close. We were polar opposites, and she'd always been the one to seek the spotlight, a position my mom always encouraged. I couldn't understand why Mia would even care about my birthday, let alone throw a tantrum over it. I asked my mom why Mia would be upset and why she hadn't consulted me first about anything. It seemed so completely ridiculous. And that's when my mom dropped the bombshell. She had been planning an entire surprise party for me. She explained that it was meant to be a surprise, but because I hadn't discussed my own plans with her, she assumed I didn't want anything for my birthday. Honestly, she could have just asked me about it. If she had bothered to ask instead of making assumptions, this whole mess could have been avoided. But no, she jumped to conclusions and went behind my back to make all these decisions on her own. Then, to make it even worse, my mom started listing all the things Mia had prepared for the party, clearly trying to rub it in my face. The activities were all things Mia loved, not me. First off, they had booked a fish restaurant for lunch. The problem? I can't eat fish. It's not because I'm picky. My body literally rejects it. I've had it checked out by doctors, and while I'm not allergic, the smell alone makes me sick. I've had this issue for years, and it's never really been a problem with anyone other than my mom, who always seems to ignore it. Then, my mom mentioned they had planned an afternoon at a ranch where you could ride horses. The thing is, I'm terrified of horses. Not because I don't like them, but because the idea of being around such large animals completely freaks me out. I don't even like being near them, let alone riding one. And to top it off, they were planning to end the day with a backyard barbecue at my mom's house. It's not that I have anything against barbecues, but I simply didn't want to spend the entire day with my mom and deal with more of her drama. I was absolutely speechless. This wasn't even a birthday party for me. It was just another event catered to Mia and everything she wanted. When I asked who had been invited to the party, my mom listed Robert's family, her family, and Mia's friends. Not once did she even think about inviting my friends, my dad, or his side of the family. It was like my birthday had been completely hijacked, and what was supposed to be a celebration for me had turned into an event for Mia. At that point, I couldn't hold it in anymore. I just started laughing in disbelief. The entire situation was so absurd, I couldn't even process it. I wasn't trying to be disrespectful, but it felt like the only possible reaction. I just couldn't take it seriously anymore, so I hung up the phone. I knew that if I stayed on the call any longer, I'd just get even more frustrated. A little while later, my dad came to talk to me. He looked concerned and explained that my mom had called him, furious about me laughing in her face and hanging up the phone. He seemed upset, which only added to the pressure I was feeling. He started to say that, despite everything, my mom and Mia were trying to do something nice for me this time. But I couldn't take it anymore. I interrupted him and told him everything, how my mom had planned the party without asking me first, how it was all geared towards Mia, and all the details my mom had conveniently left out when talking to him. His face immediately changed, and I could tell he was angry. He said, "I'm going to make a phone call," and I could hear him yelling at my mom for the next 20 minutes. Afterward, Rebecca came to talk to me. She had learned what had happened, and while she could relate to my frustration, she said I should have handled it differently. She told me that laughing in my mom's face and hanging up wasn't the best way to deal with things. She said she was disappointed in my reaction and suggested I should have calmly explained why the party plans wouldn't work for me and talked things through more maturely. She wasn't mad at me, just a little let down by how I reacted. That's when I started to think more about my actions. Maybe Rebecca was right. Maybe I should have been more composed. Maybe I should have explained myself more calmly instead of laughing and hanging up. But at the time, it just felt like the right thing to do. I've struggled with my mom's behavior for years, and this was the straw that broke the camel's back. Now, I'm feeling torn. On one hand, I don't want to feel guilty for my actions. But on the other hand, I don't want to be the kind of person who reacts impulsively and causes even more drama. I love Rebecca and my dad, and I know they're the ones who have always supported me and treated me like family, but at the same time, I don't want to completely shut the door on my mom. I feel conflicted. She's always been complicated, but maybe there's still room for reconciliation. Was I wrong for laughing and hanging up? Should I have handled it differently? I honestly don't know. I just feel like I'm stuck in the middle, and I'm not sure how to move forward.